the big storyline here is that third time is the charm. Catface has yet to beat Aussie and Friends, and this is when elimination for main event is on the line. And this is the best map pool to do it. 2 out of 3 of the maps are maps that Catface has won in those close 1-2s. We end on Ascent where it was a double OT and could have gone either way. So coming into Pearl, though, this is going to set the stakes. It was a 13-10, again, could have gone either way. And then we go over to Icebox map 2. They run these really aggressive ego compositions, so you want to be confident in your abilities, not worn down on a stomp, Rivington.
Yeah, I think everybody has to kind of just forget about what's been happening throughout the last few stages. Teams getting themselves kind of turned over on maps, and they can't figure out a way to get the solve in there during the map, as we see a little bit of action here started towards Art. And the reset is incredibly necessary from game to game here. And we're going to see this A hit start off for the side of Aussie and Friends. It is not being given up by Meow. It's stayed in by Icy. That X Factor that the desk was just talking about starts off the round with 2.
Talked about game-to-game reset. How about a mid-round reset? 12 HP, and they're able to find a few. And the Nova Pulse from Slicey sets up the perfect crunch-in trade. Pure Catface about to get the pistol round under their belt. Now, Rivington, I was nervous. I see Icy peeking out of Art. You know, they get dinked with the ghost. I think it was through the wall, and suddenly it feels like they've been taken out of the equation. 12 HP, you're not going to find much impact, you'd think.
Yeah.
But great timing, and Marceline just caught off guard.
I think Aussie and Friends realize, okay, especially on these rounds where Meow might be able to push a little extra, they're going to push a lot. They're going to be in smokes. They're going to start to play tricky. So you might see that a little bit more utility used to take that space, or at least squashed by more people at once when they enter that scenario. 1-4 to start off here, and it looks like Meow does want a little bit of space. They've already not cleared mid, but got an idea that it's not being pushed heavily. And they're set up pretty good to react right now to what looks like to be a flood onto the A site here by Aussie and Friends.
Yeah, I really like this. A mid-center Vice to stack towards A to handle this oncoming pressure of the eco. Sin able to find the first through that smoke right as it gets popped. And I mean, look at how deep Icy is over towards B long, so you can keep these players here. And again, with the jiggle now, you have some tabs on Jazzykins. You still have that Vice wall as well that has yet to be triggered, so everything with less than a minute left is still contained.
A nice figure out in mid there, identified with the 0 point, both the chamber and the fade. So they can keep hovered towards the right side, and you can see the lean from B already towards street. They're ready to move if they need to and to spawn. Go right into that area of mid. And now they just wait. They kind of see if more util will be used to clear these sections. They know they're working up against lower buys, so they don't want to give up too much themselves. Ooh, what a seize.
Yeah, huge, but the trade is secured. Slicey trying to play for proper timing as the weapon upgrades get collected. Trying to gamble on the spike location. Its default, the flash is good as well to protect temporarily. And it's Animal for the cleanup. You mentioned Jazzy up, threw some hope into the win onto the Headhunter, but it's just damage to write down in the expense book on your second round buy-up.
And they are going to do that. Looking good. Only one regen shield there. The first hit by Sin was big. And then to start kind of identifying where the site take was for Animal on that rotation. Like I said, they were already leaning a little bit from B, or thinking that it was going to be an A hit. So very fast rotations and response here from the people that needed to rotate and cover. A little bit of a mixed buy from Meow as they can sort this out and get a next round nice buy in. And we'll see if they can catch anyone off guard with these pushes here. Oh dear, making some noise.
Yeah, no punish just yet of Aussie and Friends. They're trying to get out. The dash is good, but it's left Luna Fox stranded. And Icy not able to find the follow-up either means that it's a 1-for-2 trade. And Aussie and Friends are going to come out on top. You're going to expect maybe the B side a little bit weaker now. I'm surprised there isn't really a regroup and a follow-through here. They're still wary, not certain of a lurking Vice, or haven't really, again, gotten through any of the layers of utility here. And anymore. Beautiful deposit here is still going to be at the defense, and the rotation as well from Sin. Kind of expecting what I mentioned was an follow-up towards B out of Aussie and Friends.
And they have numbers on the side of Aussie and Friends. This time right now is to get Meow to reconsider the double-ups that they've created. Maybe a quick reactive position, right? And you're actually seeing that. They're spreading a little bit now, and it's an even better take, a little bit more of an advantage for Aussie and Friends to move in. knowing that they probably created space with waiting. Both members are still here, though, and can cause trouble if they aren't found out right away on this push. They haven't seen just yet. Oh, they've caused so much trouble.
And there's 20 seconds left. Even if these two players fall, you'll still have a 1v1 squared away with Slicey rotating over from the A site. And all of this, Lydia scrambling, trying to utilize the enemy's smoke just to get the spike down, but it's Sin, the GC Sheriff Alliance, to deliver the bonus here for Meow.
We could finish this with our eyes
Sin
closed.
walking back at the last moment, being like, you know what, I smell something fishy. We've got kind of that mid coverage. I'm going to go back and stand by column. Was so huge, the crossfire they created. That was pretty funny. The dash out, and you just saw Luna was like, you know what, I got to fight anyways. I'm already here. But oh, wow, that crossfire was textbook perfect, and a reason that we just see Meow grab a round where they had a buy that really shouldn't have given to him. Spectres, a judge, and Aussie and friends trying to keep it long range the whole time. Still got taken down.
Not even that, but you had Slicey all the way deep A main from Rip. The fade set her up, and so you knew that they weren't going at least A main. Could have been Art. And all of that to say now, I mean, look at the buy, right? It's scrambled, so an outlaw from Icy can definitely have a heyday here. Shuts down Jazzykins, who has been kind of the shining star the first round and a half. But all in all, now you're like, okay, we're not going back into the outlaw. Let's take some of the short fights, short angles here perhaps. But, I mean, mid-door looks dangerous with the Thorns, with the Arc Rose. It's a sheer wall in Art, so definitely feels like they're going to be hitting a brick wall here really early on again with a minute left on the clock.
Lots of util. Cleared out a little bit of it seen. Oh, sticky feet. A little high. Animal trying to clear out through the smoke there. They're going to actually go back towards spawn here so they can get a good rotation to wherever Aussie and friends might try to get this low buy hit in. A nice actual vice util throughout this entire round.
Yeah.
Just kind of shutting down the movement.
It's a good procedure, right? As soon as that you lose control over mid connector, you have Lunafox reposition spawn to keep tabs on water. You should have kept tabs on Art, but the coordination between Riv and Slanty opened the door to a plant. Yes, they're low HP here, so we'll get to see what the utility and the retake looks like with numbers favoring the side of Meow, but I mean, money on an eco is nice.
Somehow Aussie and friends getting by that just firing line that was set up. Loon and Fox, however, gonna try to clear this up with Icy just over the shoulder throwing pies there. And one hits Lydia square in the chest. That's gonna be a quick defuse. Luna Fox 2 away from that null command and get themselves into sight. Very nice if they need to do a retake here, which seems to be the case. Aussie and friends seem to be breaking that initial line of scrimmage and getting into enemy territory, even with losing some members. Still able to cause trouble, get the spike down, get some money.
Yeah, I think Aussie and Friends have successfully identified Art is the weaker point of the map.
Yeah.
Because like we mentioned, they have that kind of plan. Okay, as soon as, you know, mid-door is lost, we have a jiggle towards B-Link, we have a player in spawn, so we're set up to counter any sort of B-split action, especially with Icy scaling down B-Long. So now with that, they're like, okay, Art's weak, right? So what do? We maybe play around mid here. And I think Icy could get rewarded for it.
Oh, the timing! That's going to be
himself.
huge to be able to take down Icy. Slanty's there for the cover as well. And Sin, they'll try their hand, but it's going to be too much, too many swings that can retort there. And now they're going to start backing up.
Yeah, I mean, the early haunt meant to get information kind of gives away that they may be playing for heavy mid pressure. So Aussie and friends take that engagement. But speaking of taking engagements, Animal challenges Jazzy with the operator head on, wins the engagement. So now you know the Vice is towards B. I was going to say, now you know the phase and connector. So now your answer maybe to lean towards A here, but the Astra's deep. So they might have a great position to play for, especially when you can't hear her there because you're deafened from the Nightfall.
They're still trying to move together. Power in numbers here. The friendship will work. And they, like you mentioned, they consider Art to be that weaker point where they can try to make some hits. And they think A main is fully taken, but they know it's inside sight, they still clear it. No problem. And now it's going to be up to Animal to get into sight and find 3. Spike down as well.
Yeah, I mean, no surefire trades with that crossfire that was set up there. You kind of see Slicey and Sin hoping maybe they would clear one but not the other, expecting only one player there because, like we mentioned, Sin was last seen over towards connector, you know, falling nightmares onto the enemy. But all in all, this places Animal in the 1v3. I mean, there's Astra, you know, stuck in play. There's so much utility now you have to get through, and only choice to push forward into the fray.
Drawing the fights. Oh my god, the one bullet.
This is
Still going for it. 8 HP, tries to fake. The Haunt's going to clear that for just a moment. Gets it, but it's going to be no time in what would have been one of the sickest clutches we have ever seen. Animals forced to run out, and Aussie and friends grab their first round from that.
And I'm still not an expert, I will admit this, in like listening to the spike and knowing how much time is left, but Riv, how long do you think it will have been like short by on that defuse? Because it seemed like the ticking was still a little bit slower, like just barely past the point of no return.
It's kind of basically if the Haunt was the fade, kind of like that timing might have been pretty close. But since it was the Haunt and then a fade, yeah, it was a few seconds there. Animal definitely had to clear out and save that Vandal, but holy moly, that
The
was
damage is out. Now Icy, I mean, you have money to spare to get aggressive with the operator, and where are you looking, Riv? Anti-flash and all, and Lunafox, the follow-up is perfection. And now, I mean, they just doubled down, add Sin, add the Blaze Storm, and you are definitely going to send Aussie and friends running for the hills for a plan B, and that looks to be towards the B site. Jazzykins mid-door, you have your Asha, Lydia scaling up long, but still, Meow is keeping tabs on the positions of each and every one of these players.
Still pushing towards the right side, and they have all the lines, right? Operators online, who wants to peek that, figure out where it needs to be cleared, and they start to move in. Jazzykins hoping to find something. Oh, it does, the hip of Lunafox. Lunafox was making a little bit too much noise and pays for it there, as Jazzy said, I can easily get online for this. And now they see where the op is on the left side, running in.
Oh, and I love Icy going for the reposition, going for the safety. You're still worried about Jazzy and Art as well. Sees only one bullet left in the operator, period. So Icy is going to have to rely on these blades or rely on their teammates backside who have rotated over. I mean, there's less than 30 seconds left. It feels like a commitment onto the A site is imminent, but look at this. Slicey, Sin actually rotating back over, and they realize their mistakes, but Animal, Icy got it covered.
What a beautiful quick switch there to the blades to kind of get in the face of the opponents. They try and get the crossfire down. Sin's going to be there, and Meow take it right back, resetting Aussie and friends real quick there to make it 5-1.
Wow. Sandy had a nice little switch. They got the third. There might have been just enough time to get the spike down and get a clutch brewing, but all in all, the coordination there was really nice. But again, just that proactive kind of like, they know where all these players are. I mean, there was that kind of hesitation of heading towards the B site is what's helping Meow here. And for Austin and friends, I think obviously they're taking the time out here, and to credit what they're doing really well is they're being very thorough, right? They're not letting mistakes slip through, it feels like, in terms of like micro coordination, right? We talk about how they were breaking through Art as a team. We talk about how, okay, they weren't surprised by Icy still holding the line over towards A main, so they were very thorough with, you know, I think it was a Gravel and the C's. So like they're aware, like they're experienced veterans. They know how to challenge space and claim it. I think it's just again how they're playing these fakes, how they're playing the lurks isn't really working.
Yeah, I want to see some set plays with this Yoru. Put Marceline online. We heard that name on the desk as well. There's a lot of power to come from that position on the Duelist, and from Marceline, that is. So let's see, you know, the gate crashes coming through with a bit of that util, maybe from Slandy, and do a B where Yoru enters backside kind of thing. Yet to see those. Maybe they don't feel comfortable on their read yet to make that happen, and the ultimates may make that kind of feel like a comfortable round to get into now. It does look like they're going to try to split onto mid and see if any of that space can be fought for right away, since they have found a few fights here right away. So, see if they are right again.
Well, this time we've got Icy with an operator fighting over towards Art. Ollie as well, just looking to claim some chop space, chop up these players as well. Interesting enough, Lunafox kind of respects the link take. There's no Vice utility this time around either, so these players decide to fight in a connector. You gotta go together, guys, or it's gonna be one after another, funneling to their death, and they just found that out the hard way.
Bring them down.
Yeah, bottlenecked in there. Just shaking up a little bit. Never what you do. They get onto the site though. Spike is there, but how safe will it be to plant? Oh, no. Pen through the wall, and he's got that angle down. And it's just going to be trying to clean up the last few as Marshall goes through as well. So, not much to pull from that. for Aussie and friends, yes, they kind of go for a chat and get a moment with the coach, but it's going to be about this next round to where they can really formulate themselves and what they can do. Finding the op is going to be big. Either playing right into it and pushing it offline, which is going to be tough from the distance it can play, or finding it and going towards mid and getting closer to it before actually executing. It's going to be tough because I don't think Aussie and friends has had too much success in any of the avenues to feel comfortable about those hits. They're really going to have to use, I think, everything they got on a few of these. Yeah,
and that's the difficulty here. It's like they're playing buddy systems, so there's always a trade for Icy, or Sin can break the utility for Icy. So we talk about setting up your duelist. Catface is doing that beautifully, and when Icy does, you know, whiff some of these shots, there's always a follow-up trade. And then you have the billboard of support, whether it's Luna Fox, you know, finding hers, or Animal's control over the B site that is yet to be tampered with. It feels like even when there's fights not going your way, you're coming out even or advantaged. But there are exceptions. As Slandy finally cracks the case open, gets numbers advantage in favor of Aussie and friends. And again, here's that thoroughness we talked about. They're aware someone is going to be searching out to crush that advantage.
And it's wild to me that they are. The attackers have to come to you, and there's no smoker on the side of Aussie and friends anymore. Lydia got traded in mid, and they kept going, thinking it was a B strat, and it was 1 by 1 there for the moment, as we saw. And now Animal's forced to do it again, but they can't. She can't get the line up. Marceline with 3 starting to come online now. Almost 5 ults ready for that side of Aussie and friends here, is that timeout does come into play for them, and it looks a little better here with a second round. Can they bring in 4 more here? They got to do it in a row.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is they didn't really use the ultimates to get that done. It felt like Meow just kind of gave them the fights, and they were winning them. So Meow, in my mind, like, yeah, take the openings, you know, cut your losses. At that 3v3, if they disengaged, right, backed out a little bit, it would have been a fair fight on, you know, a retake, or maybe you could have supported Animal if they leaned towards B, or play full retake on A with all 3. So maybe the mid round there a little bit shaky, exposed by Meow, but all in all, this is the round that matters. Money, ults on the line here for Meow to get their 7th, their advantage here. And Aussie and friends still tempering towards mid.
Oh, we're gonna see an arm in a second. Eats that fade Prowler. Luna Fox on the other side of the fight, able to grab 1, but here's a few more as they go through the bottleneck again and find the same result as they try to break in through that mid area.
A meat grinder, all the fixation was on Sin and Animal, and then Luna Fox strikes from B long, and again, this very mid-centric approach from Meow is so clean, and I thought it was going to be a round of ultimates, but that is a quick conclusion in the favor of Catface Valorant for their 7th. And again, it comes off of, look at that combo, the Thorns and the Molly, and the smoke fades at the exact time for Luna Fox to, you know, capitalize. Yeah, that's a set play and a half to secure a round.
And we see Meow really feeling comfortable here on Pearl. And this is, you see, look on the top left, that says Pearl. That's an Aussie Friends logo. Yeah. That's their pick. So this is a really huge defensive side for Meow right now. And the operator's already online at B, so they continue to focus this towards mid once again.
I like that. The util and the back out. So you were trying to trigger all that utility, that trap that just happened last round early on. But again, it's based off of the wall, not a Prowler coming through mid door. And going back to what you mentioned about how, okay, this is Aussie and Friends pick. Again, this was a map Meow beat them on. So comes in. Speaking of coming in, Icy comes in hot with another operator first blood to open things up. And again, we talk about the support that Luna Fox and Sin have had to put Icy on this pedestal. It's the immediate follow-up of the null command to keep the remaining players at bay.
Amazing to see that confidence put into such a new player as well in this scene. In this game specifically, there's so many to compete against. Like Marceline as well.
I think that null command was to shut down this Steel Garden, which would allow an eco round to go in your favor. But absolutely going to be, now that utilized their own, they wanted that 8th, and they are going to get it. They know how dangerous Marceline could have been with that hero weapon from Halls and shut it down. So again, it's just, even when Aussie Fred's able to get a sight, it just crumbles immediately because of the proactivity. I mean, like, you got past, you broke through, you got Hall's control, and then suddenly knock the higher reinforcements have arrived, so...
Yeah. So where do they go from here? 8-2. Aussie and friends now trying the left side of the map. It hasn't been too much towards C, and this will test Icy as well. This miss out, as per usual. Gatecrash follows in with the Prowler. They're just going to go ahead and run through. Icy wants safety. They're going to play their lives and say full retake on this round.
I mean, you have to. I mean, you're going to be worried about Marceline behind you in halls, and I mean, we saw an attempt to deal with Marceline prior. Luna was able to get the trade, and now Icy's just trying to punish any overzealousness through the Cosmic Divide. You can see it is going to come off of that Steel Garden, so going to delay the retake timer ever so slightly, and this is going to be the full 5v5 retake, the B-long retake that every team fears on Pearl. Oh no, the wall!
Some are breaking through, some are not. The Cosmic Divide was ready since the beginning of the round. Sin gets one more. The Nightfall is there as well. Animal tries to push through from long, and they had it the sight from both sides now.
Yeah, the flank comes in, but the shots do too. Jazzy and Slandy each picking up one apiece. I question the Cosmic Divide. I'm like, hey, Spike's on the wrong side if you're coming out of CT. And Animal, fortunately, just not going to have enough time in that situation. Again, it's so difficult with deep control, with Astro Utility tucked away long. You had the disruption factor just come in a little bit too late because of that Steel Garden and the buffer zone it bought. So, all in all, part of me is like, you're not going to have those ultimates every round, but also, we saw on the Eco round, right? They got B. It was just a matter of, okay, they got overwhelmed by the weaponry and the retake potential. Yeah. So, I think this may be their solution. If we see them leaning towards B again, outright, then yeah, this seems like maybe okay. That's what works for us, but then that's where Meow says we're going to come in, we're going to deposit Icy even deeper this time without an operator in hand, but with the Vandal.
That's a good spot.
You would expect it. The one time Aussie and friends doesn't play the mid game, they get it at B, but I think you said they realize it's going to be a little bit more tricky this time, and they are right. Jazzy is able to stop that pressure for a moment as Luna Fox comes back onto Marceline with a quick shot there, and now this hold across the whole map. A is going to push, so you're going to probably see Sin start to rotate over towards B and help this situation.
And I'm like 90% certain that right now that it has been every single time it's either Icy gets the first blood or there's an immediate trade from Icy. And that's insane to witness because it keeps things tabs close. Luna Fox here, speaking of close, very low on HP. Probably should just wait things out, play the 4-on-4 retake with the team, especially when you have very prevalent utility like the 0 point.
Now it's the waiting game. What's the best setup? Creating a protocol in the moment here for the side of Meow. They're just creeping in. The angle comes into favor of Slandy, but it's still the one-on-one trade as Lydia is there to answer right quick. The 2v3, now just the one for Sin. It's not going to be enough as Lydia's charging in from long B. And that is 4 for Aussie and friends. It took a bit to get the ground under their feet. They really weren't finding anything, honestly. But yeah, they finally start to get the kills. They find their groove, but at that point, we're switching sides now. So hopefully they can keep that momentum going.
Yeah, and I mean, we're looking at a double Sentinel composition, right? The Vice and the Chamber. So I think I remember actually casting this composition, and I was like, they're still trying to figure out the best way for them to play it. And then once they hit that stride and figured out, okay, we want the Vice here, we want the Chamber here, it looks really strong. You know, another team like Waterda has been playing it as well, right? And I think that's something to credit to the validity of the composition and how it can function. But speaking of how it can function, a trio about to scale down B long. You have the Chamber control over mid, and your Vice on A. So maybe just a hard read. That's now gone south. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Immediately
they start
dispersing.
Rotating off of this. Yeah, start going back towards the other side of the map. Quick dashes in as mid starts taking here. And still B.
You still left your Astro over towards A main, guys.
Control would kind of be 6 still here.
Gotta get Halt's control first at this point. I mean, this is the double back to A. I mean, you dislodge the Vice, which I think is what's credible in this sort of approach, and they're all more towards the choke point of main, so you can get backside control. You can still get a default plant. And your Astra kind of held A main control, so no one was flipping the site. And speaking of flipping the site, they're pushing into CT!
Oh, the Headhunter's just missing wide to the left. He's still waiting for this push in from Slandy here, and it looks like Animal's searching. No wing. Sniffs this one out, and it's going to be a kill onto Slandy, which very much so helps the post plan here. Ghosts surround the site, and Aussie and friends try to move in for the defuse.
And now, okay, numbers starting to dwindle. You have an advantage. Animal is low. They're trying to play for these one-off angles because they know that things could go south quick. So, yep, slice and dice, tag team contact, keep it clean. Keep both pistols in your favor so that the 8-4 doesn't start devolving right at the gate with this double senti composition.
See the replay on this. Just that mid-control, quickly tagged from the back. I like the push. The aggression, they understand it, needing to clear everything out. Very big control onto the site, and then kind of filling out into where they needed to create that garrison.
And it was a nice dichotomy as well, because we talked about how maybe the mid-round kind of cost them one of the 4 rounds they lost in the first half, where they over-aggressed in the mid-plaza. That was a great mid-round. You realize you may be running into a stack over towards B-Link, so you head back, you double back to A, and are able to secure the site. But now it's an eco round, and anything goes, and that means a 4-stack over towards long, where Icy and Luna Fox with Guardians can chop up the eco, but... And now's your head on the chopping block, right? Jazzykins with the Headhunter finds one, finds the upgrade, and I mean, this is a dangerous player with this weapon in hand.
2 rotating around. They have the kill crew already searching. Jazzy just moves past the door, thinking that the rotations are coming in the aggressive form, so going towards the defensive side is going to be the safest thing. So first play is correct. The timing here on the kills is only going to be the harder thing, and Spike's really the question right now.
Yeah, just looking for damage, because this was a heftier buy-up, a confident buy-up out of Catface, and I mean, Icy, we kind of alluded to it earlier in a quick chaotic round. This is their rookie season, and they are in a server with all veterans. You know, Marceline, I think, being the closest, quote-unquote, newest player, and even they've been around for 2+ seasons. And, I mean, I think they're really thriving in this supportive environment. We talk about how Luna Fox or Sin has always been behind them, and this round was no exception. Yeah.
It's been crazy to see. Also taking initiative, you know, getting into solo plays where they feel comfortable. You need that from a duelist, and from a new player too that can you know, listen but also produce moments that they know they can create. Is very, very huge. Oh, the Jazzykins out of that one real quick for the team. They play it safe, and they have a lot of info on where Meow's trying to go. It's can they stop them?
Yeah, this just feels like yeah, was in control of the tempo. They're just kind of bullying, pushing fights where they want them, and usually winning them. Now this round, I mean, we have suboptimal weapons. The fact that this confidence is still behind them screams volumes. And interesting enough, they're leaving the trust here to Jazzykins to play off the Vice utility. They don't want that KO knife in the mix to take it all offline. And they're actually going to opt for the full retake, again, because this is their buy round. And it is a bonus for Catface.
Went for a plant, maybe a fake, or just a safety, but trying to draw out a little bit more here. They are so spread out across the map right now. Okay, just going on an adventure. Why not? Looking for every kill. So that's going to be a sprint from Animal now, as they have 2 and 2 in sight. And this should be down to the last drop.
When you see Icy just trying to play antics, play delay, right? That's what this is designed for. Set Animal up to clutch this round, because that Spiky is planted for this flank. And, I mean, smoke out of heaven. A position from Jazzykins means that support needed to come in quick, and Luna Fox with the Stinger may just be able to get the job done. Spike not have the Stinger, headshot aligns, and all the stars come together to form the constellation of an 11-4 favoring Meow, where they have again converted the 3rd round bonus.
That was wild. So many angles to clear, trying to get into the site. Jazzy had the high ground to clear towards street, but it was still Luna just kind of creeping in there. Would there be another? The fact that they had 1 in the back site, 1 at Long B, those 2 on street. I think the timing of Animal threw off the fact that somebody else would also be street. They probably guessed that 1 would be long, and that's where they needed to look again. And those quick kills came out of Luna. So big. And now Aussie and friends call another timeout here. So their last timeout was also called on an eco. Then they kind of used that for what looked like the buy round here. And this, they don't really have too much time to work with that. Maybe it still is if the game gets pushed onto that game point, but see if they can formulate something here. A few alt pips can get Jazzykins that operator, that tour de force online, but it's going to be tough to get through Meow's momentum right now.
Yeah. I mean, you lose this round, you mentioned, okay, the bye round, the timeout can come through. That's still 8 rounds in a row just to get to overtime on your map pick. And I feel like that's going to weather at you, and we already talked about how Icebox is going to be heavy on the momentum swing with, you know, a possible Jet Clove and ISO Reyna in the mix, the spoiler. And all of that to say, I mean, Aussie and friends after that timeout, what did they settle on? I was going to say maybe the eco strategy they went with prior, which was this 4 over towards towards B. And, but this time it's concealed. It's not 4 pushing up, because obviously Meow was prepared for that. It's going to be the silent but deadly approach. Let's see if it works.
Oh my god. Just a slew of utility here. So nobody's close on column. They're going to try to rush this through. Are they out of range, though, is the question. Oh, Marceline with 2 quick kills on this, and now Meow knows they have walked right into a trap, and the spike is down.
Oh, the Nebula fades at just the wrong time. It opens the door for Marceline to get 1 more, but that's your 1 hero rifle down. So if you can keep the lid on the remaining players on the B side, not allow them to cross over and get these weapons, it could have been a way to rebound, but I think they've just cut their losses. Lydia was able to pick up a Phantom, and that was played brilliantly by Austin friends. Understand that LunaFox had the early no command online. They advised as far away as possible from that radius just to ensure the players could play this triangle of death off of those thorns, and Marceline delivers exactly on the set strat. So all in all, this should be Aussie and friends round, but let's wait and see. There it is.
All right. Aussie and friends say thank you very much for the thrifty. What a trap play coming out of that. And the timeout works for the eco. That trap play was huge. And like you said, it was kind of to hover towards that B. And you just see the spike going down immediately shakes Meow to their core. They're like, well, okay, go jump in and get it. And like you said, timing had gone out the window. The Nebula goes away. And now they're caught even worse position with a member down. So what great kind of teamwork and timeout for Aussie and friends to be able to do that so late and under so much pressure here.
And it feels like it's giving them a new lease on life, right? Look at this energy fighting over towards A main, right? They kind of punished Meow's aggression last round and now have taken it, claimed it as their own to try and push forward through A main, which is where Meow was steering towards. But they said, we're not falling into a trap again. We're not fighting into a stack again. They're going to halt, rethink, probably re-engage from the look of it here. Maybe once a 0 point comes back online, or when you have flashed around the corner. Or just the power of friendship.
Oh, there's too many targets. The indecisive shot. And nothing goes down except for Marceline there. Now Meow moves in safely towards A, but just to take the space here. It looks like they're going to insert and still consider what they want to fully do on the round here. And where everybody will go on this final push.
And I like this.
That rotation from Aussie and friends, though.
Yeah. This is kind of like mirroring what Aussie and friends mistakenly did last half, where they found 2 picks on a B, went A where the stack was, and they still just won the fight out of Bart. We can talk about that. But they found the 2 picks on A, they stay A, and they get a free site as a result. And now, I mean, they get to set up quite well, and I mean, in a 5v3 situation where none of these ults are online just yet for Aussie and friends, it feels like it should shape up for about 0.4 CAD face Val, but let's see the heroics come out from the remaining members. Or over aggression from Catface.
Yeah. Riv on 1. They're swarming on this site. Take on the left side. Oh, shots a little awry here. Going wayward from Slicey, but the next ones are going to find their mark. And now Slicey moves in. It just says, I don't know what that was, but it's out of my system. And here's the 3K.
And there it is. I mean, again, 5v3, you can sacrifice 1 player. Icy going for the timing there was really just a distraction to set Slicey up. But this was where things fell apart, right? Lydia taking the contact before the flash comes out for Marceline. You really kind of wanted the engagement instead of it being more kind of damage correction, it felt like. And all in all, I mean, I gotta point something out as well. Slicey having a quiet map is a scary prospect for what's to come, because Annie Mall and LunaFox have been kind of grunting a lot of the weight so far. I mean, 22-6 is crazy.
That is wild. And a lot of those happening in clutch situations, under pressure and in the moment. Annual's nothing to be messed with here. Fang's out for this game. First game of the series in full map, not full map coverage, but eyes on the map here on each of the extremities is Meow still wants this info. Again, they insert one. And they look to go for a mid play. They've varied up each round a lot from what they're doing here. Aussie and Friends has kept guessing for each one of these.
I think this round they're more certain about the A exec because of the line Jazzy has over towards B. Now that contact is probably just going to kind of solidify them here for the time being. Or is it going to be another soul read time? Last time they called the B rotating correctly. Thought they were about to follow them to B, but they're just going exploring. They need that information, that certainty before leaving.
I'll find you.
When stars come out, you're going to be convinced, yeah.
You want your
It's going to be eggs. Like, I don't know how I feel about the flank craft, because look at the Astra out of shops. That's not good.
30 seconds left.
I see. Oh, dropped. Jumping up onto that divider.
Here.
Icy on the push.
Here.
Marceline is playing hide and seek here, trying to figure everything out. Jazzy just reads that.
Back.
With Marceline saying someone's leaving sight for that push towards spawn. And they have to work fast here with Marceline so far in sight. That's so hard to trade, and it's impossible, actually. Because now they're forced to do this on the other end of the fight.
Oh. 1v2 though for Jazzy.
I can't use
3
that.
bullets stripped away by the 0 point. And this KO Lunafox is deadly enough to deal a fatal blow. 13-5. Meow will steal away